Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
And welcome back to this evening's very special broadcast coming to you from IPL Radio. My name's Sarah David. I'm here with my fellow IPL Radio members as we cover the 2023 by-election for Rockingham. Polls have closed. Voters have casted their votes and now we're waiting for the decision. Counting is underway and we anticipate that we may see our first lot of results around 7 p.m. But at the moment, we're going to try and do a cross over to the Liberal camp where our co-host Brenton is standing by to have a chat and let us know what's happening over there. So, Brenton, can you hear me? Hello, Brenton. Okay, it seems like we're not able to get Brenton at the Liberal camp, but hopefully we'll be able to connect up with him soon. I have been speaking to him and things are already sounding pretty lively over there. I know that they have a very big party planned, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening there from Brenton, our reporter from the Liberal camp, very, very shortly. But let's just check in and see whether we do actually have an update from the Electoral Commission. So I've got some results here. Let's see. So no, the count is definitely in progress, but as so far, no results have been posted. We do anticipate it to be another 10-15 minutes or so before we expect the first lot of results in. And even then, it could be a touch and go. Just to give you a bit of an overview of the electorate, we're looking at 30,213 voters within this area, and traditionally we see about 85% of those people casting their vote, and the returning officer for the vote this time round is Greg Balch from the WA Electoral Commission. It is an interesting election. This seat has only ever been held by Labor, and in the last election there was an overwhelming majority for Mark McGowan, but with his departure, that left a vacancy and 9 candidates have been vying for it since that time. There's been a lot of campaigning on the streets, and if you haven't had a chance to look, you may be interested to check out the debate that we conducted with 6 of the candidates out of the 9. All were given the opportunity to participate. Sadly, Madeline from the Greens Party was unwell and couldn't participate, but we had representatives from the Liberal Party, Independent Party. We had Hayley Edwards from the Independent Party. We had Peter Dunn, who's also an independent, and Ray Cotton for the Legalised Cannabis Party of Western Australia. She also participated. And Janita Knapp, who's the Western Australia Party. So really good, interesting discussions happened there with that debate and raised a number of different issues. So questions were asked by the community, and key things that came out were housing. There is a housing crisis happening here at the moment in Rockingham with a lot of homeless and houseless individuals struggling. Oh, we might... Okay, here we are. We might have the Labor camp. Brenton, can you hear us? Hello, Brenton. We can certainly hear you.
Hello.
Hi, Brenton. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, Brenton.
Hello.
Hello.
I can certainly hear background noise coming through from the Liberal camp, and it sounds like they're having definitely a nice time. I've got my producer here trying to work out what's happening. But for those that have just joined us, we're here at IPL Radio this evening bringing you special coverage of the Rockingham by-election. Voting ceased about 1 hour ago now. The count is on. The WA Electoral Commission has started to post and has indicated that counting is underway. There is no percentage of vote counted at this stage. It's still only early, but certainly there has been some early polling taking place during the week. Just to give you an idea of some of the numbers, the postal voting packages sent out was 4,797. Those packages received by the WA Electoral Commission was 3,596. So 3,500 people, or just over, took the advantage of doing a postal vote. And in terms of early voting, we saw about 10,900 people turn out and make use of those polling centres that were open early this week. It is an interesting seat. So Mark McGowan was in the seat, and he had a 37.7% majority when he took that position, and so it's really deemed one of the safest seats in Western Australia. In fact, it is a safer seat in Western Australia. However, there is a lot of talk within the community at this stage about change and wanting change, and so it is anticipated that we won't see the Labor majority that we have seen in the state election previously. But we're going to be keeping you up to date as the evening progresses to see how that vote is progressing, and to hopefully also cross to a number of those candidates and get their thoughts on how their campaign went, and also how they're feeling about the results as they come in. So please stay with us. Please bear with us as we try and make connection with these various locations around Rockingham. It is a little bit challenging to get everyone on board when these big parties are happening, but certainly we hope to be able to do that and bring those conversations to you as soon as we can. But for now, I think it's a time for a bit of Stevie Wonder with Superstition.
Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
And welcome back, Rockingham and all our listeners from further beyond. We have a special broadcast this evening bringing to you the by-election results from the district of Rockingham. Polling closed just over an hour ago, and the first lot of results are in. So far we've had 1,761 votes counted. Of that, there is a clear favour to the Labor Party candidate Magenta Marshall. Currently she has 898 votes, giving her 52% of the votes currently being counted. The independent, we've got some votes going across a number of those individuals. So Peter Dunn is currently sitting with 0.82% as an independent there. So that's 14 votes to him. We have Mike Critchin from the Australian Christians Party. He has 33 votes, or 1.94% of the votes. But interestingly enough, we have Hayley Edwards, our local independent, and she has been campaigning very, very strongly, and she's currently got 9.42% of the vote, so making some headway there. Clive Gallatley, 21 votes in for him, 1.24%. Madeline Jajong looking strong at the moment with 130 votes, so that's 6.66%. Janita Knapp on 20 votes at 1.18% of total votes counted. And then we have the Liberal candidate, the young fella, Peter Hudson, showing 13.13% of the vote. So certainly running in second position at the moment, but it's still very early days with only 5.83% of the vote counted. So that equates to 1,761 votes, and remembering that we have over 30,000 people in this electorate. So still very early days, but definitely at this point in time, we're seeing those initial votes certainly favouring the Labor Party, keeping in mind this has been held by the Labor Party for its duration. So since the Rockingham seat came about, it's always had Labor people represented in taking that seat. So just recapping Magenta Marshall from the Labor Party is currently sitting with 52% of the vote, but at this point we are only seeing 5.83% of the vote, but we'll keep you up to date as more results come in. So stay with us, but for now let's have a look at Walk on the Wild Side with Lou Reed.
Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
Good evening, Rockingham. You're with us this evening as we're taking you through the Rockingham by-election. With me, we have Madeline De Jong on the phone. Madeline, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you so much.
Hello.
How are you going?
I'm very well. How are you feeling?
Very well, thank you. I'm really excited. I'm just kind of watching the results rolling in as you are, and I'm pretty happy so far with what we're seeing take place, which is really nice.
Yeah, so at the moment we've got about 13.5% of the vote coming in, and you've picked up quite a few, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm absolutely stoked. You know, we knew that we would see an increase to the Greens vote in this election after the radical campaigns that we've been running over the many years of our Greens presence in the local area. I'm just so excited to watch that happen in real time. It's quite exhilarating, actually.
Well, I have to say, this is the first election that I've ever followed, certainly in this manner, and it is very exciting. How do you feel about the campaign that you've run?
I'm so proud of the campaign that we've run. I've been a lifelong local to the area of Rockingham and often a lifelong community campaigner for the area as well. And something I'm so proud of is the loud, vibrant, exciting Greens movement that we have in the local area. And I'm really, really proud of how we've run that campaign this election in terms of getting out there and chatting to as many people in the community as much as possible, whether that was at polling booths today or at early voting centre or at the Sunday markets or at the train station or out on the street or at the local shops. We've just tried to speak to as many people as possible about the issues that are really important to them. And I hope, and I hope that these votes reflect the fact that everyone is starting to figure out that there are really genuine community members who want to listen to issues that are important to people and want to take those community issues to Parliament for action.
Absolutely. And you've mentioned that you've obviously spoken to a lot of members within Rockingham. What do you think are some of the key things or key topics that have been brought up with you?
Yeah, look, number one, and I think this would be true for every candidate, is housing. We are in the midst of a crazy housing crisis that has blown people around and out of their homes in a way that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. I think we need rental and housing reforms urgently at a state level to ensure people can stay under their roofs and be safe for a very long time to come. We've seen WA Labor make decisions in the past that have kept people housed, and I am grateful for those decisions when they happened. But right now, we know that they have a total majority and the ability to make decisions to support people to stay in their homes, like freezing rental hikes, capping long-term rental increases, but they're just choosing not to do that. And it's been the biggest issue that I've been speaking to people about is making supports like that happen so that people can get through this cost of living crisis and stay at home to do so.
Yeah, it's definitely one that we've been hearing as we've been speaking to the members of the community is the housing crisis, and certainly we saw a number of the candidates raise that their awareness of that. It is interesting, however, that we really haven't heard anything from the Labor camp as to their intentions on how that they would address it if they were re-elected into the seat. So beyond the housing crisis, is there anything else that seems to be on the minds of voters within Rockingham?
Yeah, definitely. Many people I've spoken to are also really concerned about the lack of funding for local support services when it comes to mental health support and health support more broadly. There are a lot of people out there that are finding the cost of living and the housing crisis extremely difficult, and it is inflaming health issues that have long been dormant, or perhaps it's causing new ones. And I think people are needing and are seeking support from local community organisations that are overworked and under-supported by our government, and that's just not good enough. We know that we need hospital and medical centre reform and better funding and the ability to pay staff a better wage to provide extremely caring, wonderful services to people. But we also need to be looking at community services so that we can prevent people from requiring that medical assistance at a hospital level as well. And I think that we haven't seen the type of genuine local investment in Rockingham community services that Rockingham deserves. And I'm really proud to have been calling out for that at this election, and we will continue to do so no matter the results.
Well, certainly at IPL Radio, we really appreciate that. We are a big supporter of the mental health campaign and believe that that is a fundamental issue that we need to continually highlight in as many ways as possible. In fact, only just a couple of weeks ago, I attended the emergency ward with a local individual from the Shire of Rockingham who had a really sad story. He was going through a really tough time and needed mental health assistance. And I didn't even know this gentleman. And I spent probably 9 hours with him waiting in the emergency ward because quite simply there was nowhere else for him to go, which is a really long time for someone who's having a mental health crisis to wait, because obviously they're in a heightened state of distress, and there's also that risk that they will leave and because they don't want to wait because they're in such a heightened state. So we really appreciate your support on this issue, and I would think that no matter who gets elected, this surely is an issue that needs to be addressed and that the community will push for regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that there's a real community drive for this to happen, because the reality of the mental health crisis is that it's the community doing the work to support the community through it. And I think we need to have financial backing for community organisations like IPL Radio to be able to continue to provide those services at a very real, tangible level. I mean, your story just now illustrates the need for that very clearly.
Absolutely. Well, currently you have 6.88% of the vote, with 15.84% of the count being displayed at the moment. How did you find people approaching the idea of voting this time? Do you think people were more engaged than you've seen them in prior elections?
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one because traditionally in a by-election you would expect the voter turnout to drop a little bit compared to a state or a federal election, because when it is just the single seat, many people are less likely to engage, and I can understand why. Elections are pretty intense times of political scrutiny, and I don't think many people have the appetite for that, to be honest. But the election this time around, I think, has been focused on in a way that we haven't seen a by-election be focused on before. And I think that has meant that many voters are far more engaged because their vote has become far more important. Labor knows that this seat, while it has always been traditionally very safe, it became a little bit of a risk knowing that they were losing Mark McGowan. And I think that has led to far more community engagement and a much higher uptake in terms of the interest of this election. And I think when I've been speaking to people at polling booths today especially, a lot of people have turned up knowing already who they want to vote for, or they're very informed about the issues that are important to them. And I think that's just such a valuable thing to have at your disposal when you turn up to vote, being able to call back and have that knowledge backing you up so that you're making a very informed decision. And that's something that I get really excited about as a community campaigner, because I know how powerful a community voice can be at a political level. So I'm pretty excited to see that happen, and I think we will see the voter turnout be much higher than perhaps our original estimates. I think generally we were expecting there to be around 70% voter turnout, which does sound very low, but that's pretty high for a by-election, and I think potentially it'll be a lot higher than that.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was actually going to be my next question as to what percentage you think we'll get of the vote. So 70%. Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
well, hopefully we'll see
70% turnout.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, what we might do is I might leave it there with you for just a moment, allow you to get a drink and freshen yourself up because it is a big evening for you and the other candidates, but we'd love to check back in with you in a little while, but for now we might take our listeners to a song and then try and catch up with one of the other camps from the campaigners.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. I'll hang tight. Let me know.
Okay, next we're going to go to The Offspring with You're Gonna Go Far, Kid. Here we go.
You from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
And welcome back to Rockingham and all our listeners further beyond. You're here with Sarah, David and the rest of the IPL team as we take you through tonight's by-election results. We've just been speaking with Madeline from the Greens Party. She's pretty happy with the way the results are going, and we're certainly seeing a good split amongst voters. We've just had another update come through, and I'll just take you through it now. So at the moment, we have 17.77%. So I should correct, we've just had another update again. 20% of the vote has now been counted, so we're now 1/5 of the way through. That accounts to about 6,149 votes. And we're seeing a slight decline on the ALP percentage. So they're now 49.11% of the vote. Then we have Peter Hudson from the Liberal Party. He's sitting at 14.95%. So he is actually making a little bit of progress. Also doing pretty well is Hayley Edwards, the independent who's been campaigning extremely hard. She's sitting at 14% of the vote. So then we have Greens with Madeline sitting at 6.66%, and then other votes going to the other minor parties. So interesting stuff. With 20% of the vote currently counted. Now we're going to try and cross once again to the Liberal Party. They've got a bit of a party going on there this evening, a lot of celebration. They've been campaigning very, very hard, but we are going to try and cross to them and see if we can get an update on how they are progressing over there with Peter Hudson and his team and their supporters. So good evening. Can you hear us? Okay, nothing. Well, we're going to keep trying to reach the Liberal Party. As I mentioned, there is a lot of sound happening over there because they've got some celebration. They've got a big group of people enjoying themselves. We'll certainly try and catch with them a little bit later, though. But hopefully we'll get them in a moment. But let's just go through those results again because we're getting updates every few minutes now. So we're now at 37% of the vote counted. So we've got some really quick voting here. At the moment, ALP is strongly in front with 49.55% of the votes, about 5,400 votes going there to Magenta Marshall. Peter Hudson, though, is now at 16.55% of the vote. So, young gentleman there also been campaigning extremely strong, very passionate about the housing crisis at the moment, as well as small business and the need for infrastructure. Also strong on those issues is Hayley Edwards. She's sitting at 15.79%. So really what we're seeing now is the Liberals, the independent Hayley Edwards, and the ALP representative Magenta Marshall being the three individuals that seem to be attracting the majority of the votes. We now have 37% of the vote counted, equating to about 11,000. And as we were speaking with Madeline de Jong earlier from the Greens, she was indicating that she's hoping to see a percentage of about 70% of the electors voting. So She indicated that in a by-election you don't often see as many people voting as you would in a state or federal election, because there's a lot more intensity and media focused around that time. We're looking at 30,000 people, just over, making up the numbers in the Rockingham electorate. So we'll progress on, and we'll see whether we do hit that 70 mark, but hopefully we'll go beyond, because this is a big decision for Rockingham. There is a lot of issues on the table. The number one thing that does seem to be coming out, though, is the housing crisis and the cost of living. There are a lot of people living on the streets or living in their cars at the moment. People doing it really, really tough, because there simply isn't enough housing within this area to accommodate everyone. We've also heard stories of people being forced to have to move away or to go even significantly further in close to Perth City in order to find even emergency accommodation, because there simply isn't those facilities here in Rockingham. Another big one, which we've seen ourselves as a community services provider, is the lack of support that we're seeing at a state level for social services, for organisations like IPL Radio, trying to do their work within the community with very little to no funding. Now, I do hear a bit of chit-chat in the background, so I'm hoping we have Brenton there at the Liberal camp. Brenton, can you hear me? Hello, Brenton and Paul, can you hear me? Hello, Brenton, I can hear you there in the background. Can you hear me?
No.
Okay, so there sounds like they're having difficulties hearing me just because there's a lot of noise happening in the background. Understandably so, the Liberals have got a lot to be excited about. Peter has run a fantastic campaign, as the other candidates have also done, and they've been working very, very hard, and certainly tonight is all about partying, although I think some are delaying that till tomorrow so they can at least get some shut-eye tonight. But just having a look back, we'll see how we're going with the election results. We'll just do a bit of a refresh here. So we're now at 37%, so no further votes have come in at this point, but we're seeing the ALP, so the Labor Party, currently holding 49% of votes currently counted, which is about 37%. So things look like we might see a new Labor candidate take the seat of Rockingham, but we still are not at the halfway point yet. So there can certainly be changes as things progress. So Ray Cotton from the Legalised Cannabis Party has made some headway as well. She's sitting at 7.84% at the moment. So well done, Ray, and we're hoping to hear from her later this evening. 16.55% goes to Peter Hutsford from the Liberal Party. Janita Knapp, who's from the West Australian Party, is sitting on 1% of the vote. And then Madeline De Jong is doing really quite well, and I think she's pretty pleased, having just spoken to her moments ago. She's sitting with 5.16% of the vote, which is fantastic for her. Clive Gallatley, sitting at 0.88%, so is currently polling quite low compared to some of the under candidates as an independent. The other independent that is, though, however, making some headway is Hayley Edwards, who's already involved in local council here in the Shire of Rockingham. She's currently sitting at 15.79% of the vote, with Mike Critchin from the Australian Christians Party taking up 2.5%, and then Peter Dunn sitting on 0.68%. So currently Peter Dunn is polling not too well, and it looks like he'll be out of the race with already 37% of the vote collated. But well done, because it's not easy being an independent or campaigning as part of a smaller party, and we're so happy to see such choice available within Rockingham and such diversity with our candidates, a bit like the population of Rockingham. So we're going to go to a quick song, and we'll be back in just a moment as we progress through the results of the Rockingham by-election. So stay with us. because we'll be keeping you up to date as things progress and hopefully keeping you entertained.
Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
And welcome back, everyone. You're here with SD and Brenton as we take you through the results of the Rockingham by-election. We've also got a number of the candidates available to speak with us this evening. We've already spoken with Madeline de Jong from the Greens, and we're hoping now to be able to cross over to the Liberal Party. They've got a bit of a party happening, so we're having a little bit of a challenge in trying to reach them, but certainly we're going to keep trying throughout the evening because we'd really like to speak to Peter and see how he's feeling about the results as they come in. In terms of the results, we are seeing a bit of a split between the three larger parties. So just repeating, we're now at 50% of votes counted, 15,355, which is excellent, especially for a by-election. So well done, Rockingham, for your superb turnout at the polling booth. Interestingly enough, there was a bit of pre-polling action occurring. 3,596 postal voting packages were received by WA. So those are the individuals that chose to vote by postal and managed to return those in the required time. There were also 10,887 early voting papers issued. So those are the people that actually attended the polls during the week, and I'm sure that we're seeing some of those results come through at the moment. So we're now at 50% of the vote has been counted, and what we're seeing here now is 70, we've got some indicative two candidate preferred votes coming in now with 72.91% for ALP and 27.09 for the Liberal candidate Peter Hudson. So things are progressing and results are coming in quite thick and fast now, which is fantastic to see. So thank you and congratulations to everyone who is voting. In terms of the polling places, we're now seeing results in all areas, so all polling places now have some votes coming through. So we're seeing the Bungaree Primary School, for people that turned out and voted there, we're seeing 551 votes. Very strong preference there for the ALP candidacy in Magenta Marshall. Calling Up Primary School, we've seen 700 votes counted there. Again, very strong support there for the ALP candidate. East Waikiki Primary School, 388 votes for you were in. Hillman Primary School, 583. Rockingham Beach Primary School, 737 votes from you. The Rockingham EVC, 712. Rockingham Senior High School, 780. The Safety Bay Primary School, big number of votes coming through there, 1,577. Safety Bay Senior High School, 951, and in the minor areas, special institutions, hospitals and remote voting, we're seeing 122, making up total votes at this moment as 15,355. So stay with us, folks, as we work through this election. At this stage, it looks like ALP will retain the seat of Rockingham. However, there is still 50% of the vote to be counted. So 30,213 voters within this election. And we've already seen 15,355 of those votes being counted. So congratulations, everyone, for getting out and having your say and being part of the electoral process. The key messages coming out from Rockingham appear to be the housing crisis, a lot of homeless people, a lot of people sleeping in their cars, sleeping it rough, finding it very, very difficult as the cost of living increases, and the lack of community housing available and emergency housing available within Rockingham taking its toll. So I would say regardless of who the successful candidate is, we are looking for the successful candidate to take on that and to represent us in the Parliament to try and resolve that very, very pressing issue. Another one which ties in quite closely is the funding of local services, a very hot topic as well. There is a lot of community-based services here within Rockingham. In fact, we have a huge percentage of volunteers compared to the rest of the state. Phenomenal effort, gives you an indication of just how wonderful Rockingham is. But sadly, those services are really struggling at the moment to cope with the demand that for their services because of the housing crisis, the cost of living crisis, and also mental health playing a big role there as well, which of course is something that we're very, very passionate about. So I'm just going to cross now and see if we can hear from Brenton, who's over in the Liberal camp. Hello, Brenton.
Sarah, can you hear me?
Yes, I certainly can.
I can hear you too. That's fantastic.
That is wonderful. We've finally done it. So, Brenton, tell us what's happening over there in the Liberal camp at the moment.
Well, it's an absolute sea of blue right here. We've got everyone's having a good time, and everyone's there's a lot of socialising going on. We've got people watching the screen right now. We have been checking the
results.
Checking the results as we've been. Been waiting to be able to talk to you. We've been checking the results. We haven't seen Peter Hudson yet, but there's a lot of people here,
Right.
yeah.
And do you know
there's a lot of amber fluid been consumed as well.
Right, excellent stuff. So spirits sound like they're pretty high.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
Excellent.
Everyone's really enjoying it. I mean, they have had several months of campaigning and working really hard. So, understandably, they're trying to. They're probably just relaxing and letting off a lot of steam right now.
They certainly have been campaigning very, very hard. And Peter Hudson, he might be young, but he's certainly got some get up and go, extremely mature gentleman, and we hope that we will be able to catch him. Do you actually know whether he's joined the party at the moment? Do you think he's in the crowd there somewhere?
I have not seen him as yet. Mm-hmm. We've been looking around. Is Peter Hudson there? No, Peter Hudson is not here yet.
So he hasn't yet made an appearance. He's probably preparing
he's probably
himself.
Still out campaigning.
Yeah, he probably is, knowing him. He's certainly an Energizer bunny for sure. Well, at the moment, we've got 55% of the vote now counted, and Liberals are in second place with about 17.65% of the vote, with indicated two candidate preferred of 27.09%. So, but we're delighted to have you, that you could join us. And how are you finding the election? Is it a bit of a buzz for you?
For me? Well, I mean, I'm not in the Rockingham constituent, but it's been quite exciting. I mean, having been at IPL, every time we've had the campaigners come in and the party leaders come in and do their interviews, it's been quite exciting. And having met several of them a few times during their visits, some of them have been very forthcoming when it's been when I've been able to have a chat with them privately and ask some advice and things like that. And so I'm really I am buzzing, yeah.
Fantastic. And is there any common themes within the room that people are sharing with you?
Blue.
Pardon?
It's just blue. Everything's blue.
Just everything's blue. Well, it certainly
everything's blue. Everything's blue except for the beer.
Well, I think that's probably a good thing. Well, you enjoy yourself there. We'll cross back to you very, very shortly, but just stand by. I might just take photos through a little bit of an update of where things stand at the moment. So we've got 55.06% of the vote counted now in this by-election. The ALP party with Magenta Marshall in that representative position is polling extremely well, holding 49.81%. So that's about 8,000 votes going her way at the present, with 16,634 votes counted. Peter Hudson at the Liberal Party are sitting at 17.65%, and then the independent Hayley Edwards there at 14.89%, and she seems to be sitting quite strongly around that 14-15% mark. The Greens sitting at 5%. That hasn't changed too much, staying pretty stable at 5%. So if anything, if this trend that we're seeing continues, then they're probably going to be looking at picking up about between 1,500 and 1,800 votes, which I think they'll be very, very pleased with there, in Madeline de Jong, who's run a fantastic campaign. Of course, Hayley Edwards, the independent, sitting at 14.89%. We won't be able to cross to Hayley tonight. Her party's having a closed session, but she's been very open in working with us at the IPL Radio, and very strong in her campaigning. So Brenton,
yes.
We're going to perhaps go to a quick song, and then we'll see if we've got any more results coming in, and we'll check in with you. But interested to know how people are feeling there in the room.
Awesome. Have you got We Are the Champions by Queen there?
Well, I'll certainly line that one up for you, Brenton. Absolutely, awesome. No problem. All right.
Awesome.
But for now, we're going to go with a bit of Copperhead Road by Steve Earle.
Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
And we are back. Thank you for continuing to listen in to us this evening as we are delivering a very special evening for you at IPL Radio, the by-election results for the Rockingham area. It has been an exciting evening. We've got over 55% of the vote counted, but interestingly enough, there has been a bit of a change in the preferred indicative candidacy. So what we're seeing at the moment is a bit of a movement towards Peter Hudson, the Liberal. So previously, Magenta Marshall had quite a high percentage there, but she's dropped back down a good 10% now. So we're seeing those preferences now increasing for Liberal candidate Peter Hudson, who's now sitting at 32.87%. So quite a bit of a shift there. So it'll be interesting to see how things progress with over 55% of the vote already counted. In terms of the other candidacies, we're seeing Madeline de Jong from the Greens. She's pretty happy with the results, and we're hoping to check with her soon. She's still sitting in that nice position around 5% of the vote, which I know that she'll be very, very happy with. Hayley Edwards, the independent, 14.89% of the vote, and then Liberal Peter Hudson currently sitting at 17.65%, with the majority of votes heading across to Magenta Marshall, the young lady there who is campaigning on behalf of the Australian Labor Party, who's held the seat for over 40 years. She's currently sitting at 49.81%. But interesting, we have seen a notable shift with those candidate preferred votes coming in now, as we're starting to see the minor places being recounted for their secondary vote. So still sitting at 55%, and we're going to try and cross over to Madeline next to see how she's feeling about things. Madeline, if you're there, we'd love for you to join us. I know that you're backwards and forwards monitoring results as well. Hello, Madeline. How are you?
I'm good. I'm watching this very closely.
It's interesting, isn't it?
I know I already said this to you earlier, but it's exciting.
It is. Well, I'm excited. And what's exciting for me is I used to live in a different shire. So I was up in I used to live in Kewdale, so quite different demographic. And what I think is really interesting here, Madeleine, is that Rockingham is very community orientated. Having come from a small town and then lived in the city in a suburb of Perth, and then coming down to Rockingham, there's definitely more of a town feel here, and I think that's what makes it exciting, because there's real big stuff happening down here. A lot of homelessness. You've talked about the lack of funding for services that provide essential services in this area. But how are you feeling now that we're sort of at 55% of the vote in?
I'm feeling really good. I'm so excited to see such a swing away from the major parties. Isn't that exciting? Like I was saying to you before, I think watching votes for independents and smaller parties increase is really the big goal here for that big political movement for change in Rockingham. And I think we're seeing it happen in front of our eyes. It's pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to continuing to watch this vote. But I think where that two-party preferred kind of vote is settling down is as you say, I think it's going to kind of settle in this 70%, 30% space, which kind of was expected. But I'm really excited to see where all these smaller parties land. It's really interesting.
Especially when we've seen, we spoke earlier this evening how Labor has made a very quick and last-minute change to their preferences, didn't they?
Yes, they did, and I'm interested to see whether or not we've got a couple of scrutineers having a look at voting tonight, just to keep an eye on where people's preferences have gone, just for our own records for the most part. But I am curious to see how closely people followed the new voting cards, because I do know Labor reprinted them all.
Yes. Which is
kind of funny, but
and very last minute, and no small job either, for sure.
A huge undertaking financially and time-wise, and making sure that, hundreds of volunteers have the right piece of paper is even a lot of work. So it's a big decision that they made, and it would have taken a lot of work. So I hope it's working out for them.
Well, Madeleine, we're 55% of the way through, and we'll keep talking throughout the evening. But I understand that you're having a bit of a celebration tomorrow. What's on the cards for you and your supporters?
Yeah, our wonderful team of volunteers in the area and the surrounds, our whole group of people are getting together at the Environment Centre over in Shoalwater and Safety Bay. I'm really looking forward to it. We're getting together for a barbecue, for a bit of a celebration, and a nice catch-up socially, because so many of our catch-ups over the last few weeks have been based around elections and results and campaigning, and often our catch-ups always dissolve into conversations about those things, but it will be nice to have a bit of a breath of fresh air at the end of this campaign and chat to everybody as friends, because I think I was saying to you before as well, we're such a people-powered, community-led movement, the Greens in Rockingham and, everywhere. And it's something I'm really proud of, but I'm really looking forward to catching up with everyone tomorrow and having a bit of a drink and a bit of a celebrate about what we've achieved here.
Do you think in the morning you'll have trouble getting up out of bed? It's been a long campaign.
I think it'll be a late start, but I like to say that, but I do have a very young toddler who likes to wake me up the second the sun peeks through the window, so we'll see how that goes.
And will you be wearing green tomorrow, or you're going to go for a different colour for a change?
I know. I think I'll still wear green for a few more days while this settles down, but I might retire a couple of the shirts to the bottom of the wardrobe for the next few weeks.
Yeah, fair enough too. All right, well, I'm just going to do a bit of a flick here and see if we've got any more votes coming through. Now, we're still sitting about 55% at the moment, but you've picked up over 5% of the vote. Are you surprised by that result? Were you hoping for a little bit more? Where do you sit in terms of that figure?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that at this stage. I'm really looking forward to more of the votes from today being counted, as traditionally the Greens bring in the majority of our best votes on the day. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that increase, and I think it will. While, I think we were definitely hoping for a little bit of a higher number, I think it's still fairly early days, and to be honest, seeing our vote creep up beyond what it was at the last state election is always going to be a win, and that's where we're at now. We're looking at, about 2% higher than we were, which I'm really happy with, and I'm really proud of what we've achieved there. And I'm really excited to watch that continue to grow over the next couple of days as more votes are tallied, but also over the next couple of years, because we've got a couple of elections coming up pretty soon, and I can't wait to hit the ground running for those as well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, one of the common topics that I've seen coming out of this election is the idea that a safe seat doesn't typically attract much funding, that it's those with the squeaky wheel, so those that seem to swap and change and seem to get more attention. Firstly, do you think that is the case?
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think that in safe seats or so-called safe seats, the major parties often forget why they're in those seats in the first place. And we have these things called, they're people, but called career politicians who just kind of stay in those seats and stay safe, and it's just another day at the office for them. The reality is they're representing thousands of people that have real lives and real issues that are affecting them every single day, and they want to see the politicians that they've elected represent them in a true way. And I think the reality of the two major parties holding power for so long, and Labor particularly in this seat being so safe, is that they get very complacent and they don't invest in local community organisations, in local community initiatives, and they don't invest in development for the area either. And I think we've seen this election scare Labor into making a couple of snap announcements about development for the space, which is kind of exciting. And I'm really looking forward to that continuing as well.
Yeah, we've definitely seen some late additions from them, and we've just been speaking about their change to preferences as well. But come Monday morning, do you think these whoever the successful candidate is, and at this point it looks like it's going to be Magenta? Do you think they need to be ready to? Because there is going to be an influx of pressure now that we have seen such a change within people's election. Yeah, I think, and look, I will say that I've been keeping a close eye on all sorts of things tonight, and Magenta has posted that she's accepted the win. So that's happened pretty quickly, but if that's where the cards fall by the time all the votes are counted, I do congratulate her deeply. I think that's an amazing achievement. But I will say that, I agree. I think that come Monday morning, or whenever she sits at that desk for the first time, she better be ready, because there's a lot of people in Rockingham who know that there's people listening now. And these people who are listening, whether it's myself and the Greens, whether it's Hayley Edwards, whether it's Peter at the Liberals, or whoever you think that is going to get the job done, we've all got avenues to speak to government, and we've all got passion about bringing community issues to parliamentary level, and I'm really excited to see that happen as we move forwards. As you say, no matter who sits in that chair on Monday. And what does this mean for you in terms of the coming months ahead?
Yeah, I've been a lifelong local to the area, and I'm certainly not going anywhere. I think that I am very committed to continuing to be a part of this Greens movement in Rockingham and the broader brand federal electorate as well. As I said before, we've got a couple of elections coming up in the next couple of years, and I'll continue to work towards those with an incredible team of community organisers and volunteers as part of that Greens movement for political change in this area. And I'm really excited to do that and to continue forwards as we head towards those elections, but also to continue to be as involved as I possibly can in other community movements that need support and need action on issues like mental health crisis or like housing. I think these issues aren't going to go away, and they're certainly not going to be brought to the government's attention unless we do so very loudly. And I'm definitely looking forward to continuing my work in those spaces as well.
And, there has been a definite shift here in terms of the result. What message do you think that sends to other electorates?
That's a really good question. I'm very excited by that, because while we haven't seen a by-election in WA in quite some time, or in a metro seat in quite some time, I think this sends a really clear message that this trend against the major parties is continuing at local levels. We've seen it at a federal level. At the last federal election, we saw the two major parties lose many seats to the Greens, to independent members, and to other smaller parties, which was so exciting at the time. And we're seeing that happen, perhaps not necessarily losing the seat, but we are seeing a big swing away from the major parties and to smaller parties and independents at a local level here right now. And I think that message is pretty loud and clear for the other long-held so-called safe seats, for whether it's Labor or Liberal, that there are other people that are putting their hands forward, and the community that is around them is realising that they can kind of have a different choice. It doesn't have to be this two-party system that is clearly failing so many people.
Now, and it even seems to be that we've seen that almost reflected in other countries as well, where there's this idea that it has to be two major parties. It is becoming a bit of an antiquated concept, isn't it?
It absolutely is, definitely. And I think that's so exciting, because while I think it's easy to say that we will always have, the red and the blue at a parliamentary level here in Australia, I think it's really exciting to see far more of the green, not that I'm biased, but also far more of these independent candidates that are really entrenched in their communities, fighting for their community's needs at a parliamentary level. And it's just so exciting.
Well, we really appreciated you joining this with us this evening. Is there anything that you would like to say to the Shire of Rockingham and to those people that did vote for you?
Yeah, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I am so honoured to be a part of this movement for change that I've been talking so much about. I'm so excited to continue this work together with everyone who wants to jump on board. I am always available for a chat. While I might not be a candidate, in the morning, I'm still going to be around as a community member and as a campaigner, and I can't wait to work with you all on so many issues in the days, weeks, months, years to come. Just reach out and I'll reach out to you.
That's fantastic. Now, Madeline, we might leave it there because we believe Peter Hudson's entered the room in the Liberals camp, so we're going to cross over to him, but we want to thank you so much for participating in tonight's proceedings and joining here us at IPL Radio, and of course your support for everything that we do here on the mental health and community space as well.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm sure I'll see you around. I'll be in and out of that radio station in the many days to come, I'm sure.
Fantastic. We look forward to having you as a guest.
Thank you. We'll speak soon.
Speak soon. Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're going to go now to the Liberal camp to see if we can check in with them and hopefully have a chat with Peter Hudson.
Hey, so I don't know if you can hear me over the crowd here.
Yes, tell us what's happening, Brenton.
Well, Peter's standing up at the podium at the moment. He's just he's just about to make a speech.
Fantastic. Okay,
well, can you hear him? Can you hear the people talking?
No, sadly we can't. But what we might do is. Can you give us an indication of what he's saying at the moment, Brenton?
It's kind of hard because it's his assistant talking right now.
Right, okay.
I can't really hear what she's saying very well.
Sure, but obviously sounds like there's still pretty good spirits, even though Labor has claimed victory for the election, did so about 8 p.m. this evening. Brenton, are you still there with us?
Hang on.
So, folks, we've just got Brenton at the Liberal camp. Peter Hudson's just made an appearance.
His assistant's just talking about where they were 6 weeks ago.
They certainly run a.
She's talking about the Labor Party. We've got a wealth of resources. There's been a great show of liberty, unity amongst the Liberal Party.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true from everything that we've seen here at IPL Radio. For those that have just joined us, Labor has claimed victory over the Rockingham by-election, and Peter Hudson is currently...
we're just handing over to Peter now.
Peter's just about to take the stage to speak to his...
Hopefully you can hear what he says. He's a little bit...
Okay, Sally, we're not able to pick up on that, Brenton.
No, it's because she's still talking. 1 second.
Right, okay. So while Brenton's just managing things over there in the Labor camp, I can give you an update on the election progression. So Magenta Marshall claimed victory about 20 minutes ago with about just over half of the vote counted. We're now sitting at 73%, and she's still remaining at about 49% of the vote. So she will claim the seat for the ALP party, and we will see another Labor candidate or another Labor politician represent us in Parliament again for the Shire of, or the city of Rockingham. Peter Hudson, the Liberal Party candidate who is currently addressing his family and friends at the Liberal camp here in Rockingham, he's obtained 17.73% of the vote. We now have 22,000 votes in and being counted, and the second two preferred party preferences sitting around 34% for Liberals and 65% for ALP. Is there any further update from you, Brenton?
What was that, sorry?
Is there any further update from you with how things are progressing there?
Nothing yet. We're still here.
Okay, so we'll just stand by, and if you do have something, feel free to jump in. But we're just going through the results of the 2023 Rockingham by-election, brought to you by IPL Radio this evening. And we've seen now 73% of the vote has been counted. Congratulations and thank you to everyone who came out and voted. The big issues that seem to have come out of this election is definitely the cost of living, the housing crisis, homelessness, people without stable accommodation, either in an emergency situation or longer-term housing, the mental health challenges that naturally come with difficult times, and the lack of infrastructure and funding going to contribute towards the services that are desperately needed, both in the medical setting and other social services as well, including not-for-profit organisations.
Okay, Peter's about to talk.
Okay, Sally, Brenton, we're not able to pick up on Peter there. But it certainly sounds like he's getting a round of applause from his supporters and fans there. And I've just seen some photos come through, and he's still got a big smile on his face, which is great to see. He's a pretty upbeat guy, and he's worked very, very hard in this election. I know he was obviously wanting more of the vote, but certainly has run.
My father before me, I myself am a fighter. We're incredibly stubborn right until the very bitter end. So this one goes out to David.
All right, can you hear me, Sarah?
I can actually hear Peter just at that moment.
By George, we have a lot of fight in us, don't we? Look at the room around us. Such an outstanding pool of volunteers. Many of you I've known for several years since I've been a member of the party. And I'm so, so proud of each and every one of you for what we've been able to accomplish tonight. Yeah. It wasn't since 1996, when Mark McGowan was first elected, the Labor Party last had to win on preferences. That tells me that the people of Rockingham are waking up. Our best result in over a decade tells us that the people of Rockingham know that the Cook government are not listening. And I know that because I'm a member of this community. And I know that because I've been on the doors all day, every single day for the past 6 weeks, and on the early voting centre with many of you. They're telling us the Cook government has no answers on the cost of living. The Cook government has no plans to fix the emergency department here at Rockingham General or address the ambulance ramping issue statewide. They've got no plans to fix local crime. And they've got no plans to invest in real infrastructure in Rockingham. Libby is absolutely correct when she says this is a hollow victory for the Labor Party. And of course, we will respect the will of the voters. They have decided the next member for Rockingham, and I congratulate Magenta Marshall, and I sincerely hope that she develops to be the best member for Rockingham that she could possibly be. Yeah. However, Libby already picked up on this, but unlike the last local member of Rockingham, I'm still not tired. I'm still full of energy. Little does the Labor Party know, or they should be keenly aware, there's a state election less than 18 months around the corner, people. Like my words, the Rockingham by-election has turned the tide of politics in Western Australia. Yeah. People of Rockingham know this, and the outsiders, the rest of the state, and even the country, the WA Liberals are back. Yeah. And because, like my grandfather, I'm a fighter, because I'm still not tired, I'm going to be very proud to, along with my state and federal colleagues and my leader, Libby Mettam, to be leading the charge against the Cook government in March of 2025. States like Rockingham and the government in 18 months' time with a grassroots community, volunteers like yourselves. And that's why I need to again thank every single person in the room. My special shout out goes to two people in particular, Deanne and Michael, who both played instrumental roles in this campaign. In fact, both pre-polling on their birthdays during the campaign. And another special shout out to my fabulous campaign manager, Claire Moody, whose birthday is tonight. With this remark, everyone involved in this campaign should be incredibly proud of what we've done tonight. We have executed a flawless campaign, and there is not a single other thing that any of us could have done to alter the result from what it was. And that is because of our hard work, and we can be proud of that right up from now until the next state election. Yeah. But the next state election is 18 months away, and I want to celebrate with all of you tonight. So I hope you'll stick around, join us for a few drinks and some nibbles. I look forward to chatting with you and having a big debrief on the Rockingham by-election. Thank you, everyone.
Did you catch any of that, sir?
Yes, certainly did. And very, very interesting. Great to hear that Peter Hudson has now set his sights on 2025, indicating that he's still not tired, and he considers that this by-election has turned the tide on state politics, and certainly we'll see if that's the case over the next 18 months. Great speech, though, by Peter. Very honourable in his defeat this evening. And Brenton, be interested to know how the crowd seems now that Peter has made an appearance.
Well, they're definitely riled up. They're definitely happy, and the energy definitely lifted as soon as he walked into the room. I will try and get Peter on the radio a little bit later. He's out. He's just walked out of the room at the moment. He's being interviewed elsewhere, but we will try and get him onto the radio as soon as we can. If not, well, I think Peter said it all. Is everything's it's showing that the Rockingham are starting to waken up and listen up.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's similar to what some of the other candidates have indicated, and the swift sort of panicking style of adjustments that Labor made in the last days of the campaign certainly indicate that they're hearing the Rockingham people as well. And we certainly hope that continues, and that come Monday morning, Madeline is ready to go, is energised, and going to be working very, very hard for Rockingham and its 30,000 members within it.
Definitely. All right, so I'll let you go. I will. I'll if we can get hold of Peter, I will.
If not, well, we'll certainly. I'm sure we'll see Peter in the days to come. Anyway, him being a massive supporter of IPL Radio and all the issues that matter. But thank you very much, Brenton, and the team there for being there on the ground, and go and enjoy the celebrations.
All right, I'll message you or the producer and just say, hey, listen, we're going. Okay. We're going to go live. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Brenton.
No worries.
All right, folks, so there you have it. That was a speech made by the candidate from the Liberal Party, Peter Hudson, acknowledging the win from Labor in this election, but certainly by no means did we hear from a disappointed man. If anything, he is very fired up and has now set his sights on 2025, which, believe it or not, is just 18 months away. The key messages from Peter, beyond him thanking all his supporters, was that this by-election has shown a real turn in the tide for politics within this state, and that the Liberal Party are back. And he's certainly not feeling tired at all. He's ready to go and has his sights set on 2025. So congratulations to Magenta Marshall on her win. Sadly, she wasn't having an open night tonight, but we'll certainly be extending her an invitation to come in and speak with us at IPL Radio, and no doubt we'll be interacting with her on a regular basis as we continue our work within mental health and community services. But as a final indication of where we're sitting at the moment, 73% of the vote has now been calculated. Magenta Marshall has taken victory with 49% of the vote, so over 10,500 votes going her way. The Liberal Party following up in second position with 17.73% of the vote, a significant increase from last time, definitely. And then we've also seen some real big movers in the minor parties as well. The Greens currently sitting at 4.89, have been sitting around the 5% mark, and Madeline has indicated she expects that figure to rise slightly. They tend to do typically better in the second half of the count, so we'll certainly see that in the results in the morning. And then Hayley Edwards coming in at 16.01% at this stage. So 22,077 votes have been counted. There's 30,000 people in the electorate. So that is a fantastic result in terms of voter turnout. And it certainly shows that there's a lot on the agenda of electors within this community. They've got lots to say. And come Monday morning, we'll see the Labor elected Labor member, Magenta Marshall, take her chair in the seat of Rockingham. But we might go to a break now, have a little bit of a song, and then we'll come back and recap proceedings on our coverage of the by-election for the city of Rockingham. But stay with us. We really appreciate you being here with us this evening, and we hope you have found this coverage enjoyable and worthwhile. Okay, coming up next, let's have a look. We better put on a good one. Okay, how about we go with the Whitlams with a bit of No Aphrodisiac. We'll be back with you soon.
Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
Well, it's official, everyone. Rockingham has decided the results of the 2023 by-election are in, with Magenta Marshall claiming the seat for the Shire of Rockingham. So, again, we see a Labor candidate representing the city of Rockingham at a state level. But interestingly enough, there has definitely been a swing. It's very difficult to say at this point how much that swing is, with still the preferred party votes coming in and being collated, and there'll be a bit of analysis on that later on. But ultimately what we're looking at the moment is about a 30% fall in the number of votes for the first round of voting for Labor, which is basically their worst result in this area since the 1990s. So a definite shift away from the Labor Party, whether that's as a result of the departure of Mark McGowan and the arrival of a new face, or whether it's just a sign of the times and people are more interested in seeing a different party take over representation. But we will certainly be watching this space. As Peter Hudson mentioned, it's only 18 months away to the 2025 election, where Peter will stand again. He's indicated that he will stand again, and certainly Madeline de Jong has indicated that she's going to remain in support of the Greens, and is very pleased with the efforts of their party in this campaign, and will continue to push for the issues that matter to the locals of Rockingham. So congratulations to Magenta Marshall claiming the seat of Rockingham. She did so at approximately 8 p.m. this evening, when we're about 50% of the vote through, and it's really she stepped away with about 49% of that primary vote. Certainly 30% lower than what we've seen previously. But still certainly more than enough to see her claim the seat of Rockingham. So congratulations to her. Previously, we've heard from Peter Hudson in his speech to his party and his supporters there tonight in Rockingham. They've got a bit of a party going on, and the key message from Peter was that he is not tired. He has set his sights on 2025, that he sees that the results that we've seen in Rockingham are a tide-changing moment for the political system within Western Australia, and I'm sure that there'll be lots of individuals and political parties paying very close attention to the big change we have seen within the results tonight, even though we have Labor holding on to that seat. To give you an idea of where the results sit, 73% of the vote has come in. We've seen 49% of that go to Magenta Marshall, the Labor candidate, and now the new member of Rockingham. Peter Hudson, the Liberal candidate, with a very humble speech just a few minutes ago, claimed 17.7%, but it's been done pretty well in those two candidate preferred votes of 34.21%. Perhaps not particularly surprising there, but certainly be fairly happy with that. Whether that changes will all depend on where the preferences sit for the Hayley Edwards, the independent candidate. She polled in third position with 16.1% of the vote. And then we see the Greens, Madeline Mahjong, who kindly joined us tonight and was very pleased by the movement towards the minor parties. She's currently sitting at 4.89%. So congratulations to all 9 candidates on their campaign. It isn't easy. We've seen a lot of the hard work that goes into it, and that's only been a smidgen. We especially want to thank everyone in the community of Rockingham for getting out and voting today. We've seen 22,000 votes already counted, which is a great turnout from an electorate of 30,000 people. And of course, we've still got 30% of the vote still to count. But really pleasing to see that people are standing up, they're sending the message out, and they're letting these candidates know what it is that's impacting them and what's important to them within their local community. So come Monday morning, we'll see more red in the seat of Rockingham, and she has a big job ahead of her. This is her first time claiming a win within the Parliament, and we very much look forward to working with Madeline here at IPL Radio as one of many community organisations out there, out to serve their community and serve its people. We are hoping to be able to speak with Peter Hudson in just a few moments, so we are holding on and we'll keep...
Ready when you are.
Oh, fantastic, Brenton. Thank you. We're ready to go here. Hello, Peter.
Yes. Hello, Sarah. Sarah, can you hear us?
We certainly can.
All right. So I have Peter Hudson with me. Peter, how do you feel?
Feeling absolutely elated, Brenton. Look, this election result here represents the turning of the tide for WA politics. The Liberal Party in Western Australia are back, and I could not be prouder of the result that we pulled here in Rockingham tonight. A 30% swing against the Labor Party in their primary represents the worst result they've had in a very long time, and in fact for our primary it is the best result we've had in over a decade. It wasn't since 1996 that we forced the Labor Party into preferences to take the win for the seat of Rockingham, but today we have, and that is a clear example of the people of Rockingham waking up to the failures and inadequacies of the Cook Labor government.
Fantastic. No, it's. I mean, it is a victory for you guys anyway, because of your achievements, and it shows how your hard work and everything over the last 6 or so weeks has been. Sarah, do you have any questions for Peter?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had the pleasure of hearing Peter's speech earlier, and he mentioned that he's still not tired, which we think is fabulous, and his heart's set on 2025. So what happens now for Peter and the Liberal Party within this electorate?
Okay, so what happens now for you and your party in this electorate?
I'll start with the Liberal Party. So we are back in Rockingham and Western Australia. It was so important that we put up a candidate to fight for the strong Liberal voice in Rockingham, and we certainly did that with our primary increasing on such a high rate, and with a 20% swing, two-party preferred against the Labor Party. It's clear evidence that the Liberal voice in Rockingham is alive and well. It's a very strong voice down here, and that's evidenced by all the local supporters I have behind me. But the Liberal Party is back statewide, and we have a clear plan to return to government in March of 2025. It's only 18 months around the corner until the next state election, and frankly the Cook Labor government should be far more worried than they are. They need to be getting ready because the Liberal Party are back, and the result of this by-election absolutely spells that out. And for myself personally, look, I love the community of Western Australia. I am a West Aussie, so I will be leading the charge along with my leader Libby Metham come 2025. Wherever I'm best placed to serve the community, that's where you'll find me.
All right, Sarah, anything more to add?
Yeah, we don't want to keep Peter because we know he's got a busy night of partying.
He's really busy. He's got about 200 or so people here who want to sort of buy him a beer, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, please just pass on our congratulations for his great campaign, and to tell him to go now and enjoy the rest of the evening. He certainly earned that beer.
Will do. So Sarah just said to pass on all of IPL's congratulations for the campaign, and you've definitely deserved that beer.
Thanks very much. Looking forward to
No worries.
IPL. Good on you.
Thanks, Peter, and great to see you again.
Thanks very much, mate.
All right. Over to you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brendan. Thank you for being out and representing IPL, and we wish you well, and we'll see you back in the studio.
Well, I do understand that the Phantom is a little bit late tonight, so he did message me earlier to say that he is going to be doing his show, but a little bit late.
Good eye. Well, that's okay because we're on a special evening today covering the state by-election. But thank you to you and the team there at the Liberal location, and we really appreciate your efforts tonight, and I'm sure the listeners do as well.
All right. Thank you. All right. We'll see you back at the station.
Beautiful. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. The by-election for 2023 for the city of Rockingham is over. The Liberal Party have, we've just been sharing with them. They've got their eyes set on 2025. They've seen a significant swing towards them, about 30%. We've seen the Labor Party have lost compared to the last election, and of course the next election is only 18 months away. Congratulations to all 9 candidates. They've put in a lot of effort over these weeks. They've fought very, very hard, and they've been out and out campaigning. And congratulations to everyone within the Rockingham area who've come out and voted today. A tremendous result in terms of the number of votes that we have seen. Obviously, the count is still continuing, but we've seen a high number of votes come in, which is fantastic. But from us here at IPL Radio, we're going to wrap up now our coverage of the 2023 Rockingham by-election. But I've been Sarah David, and it's been great to speak with you and to have you here tonight on what has been a very exciting evening for our community here in Rockingham. And we look forward to continuing broadcasting with you all the local happenings here in Rockingham and beyond. But for now, all the best and very good night.